What's up, everybody? So, how I booked my first sales call in 24 hours of starting a business. I literally, a couple of weeks ago, started my new AI agency, and I booked my first sales call within 24 hours of starting the business itself, with sending like maybe 70 to 100 messages on X. And I'm going to share the full framework to how I did it in the description down below. There is a link that will lead you to this particular file where you have a convert framework developed by me to set appointments for high ticket coaching businesses since I was a high ticket coach in the past. So let's dive right into it and what we're going to cover today. So my name is Arcadia. Let's keep my second name, it's too long. And today what I want to walk you through is how I booked my first sales call in 24 hours of starting a business and how I booked 3 in 48 hours after that. So I recently made over 80K as a high ticket coach, and I decided that I want to start sharing what got me where I am today with no BS so that you can do it too. I got no high or low ticket course to sell you, so don't worry and enjoy. So let's start with a little backstory because where would we be without a little backstory? In the past, when I just started 4 years ago as a high ticket coach, I couldn't book a single call for the first 2 years of being a high ticket coach. I've been sad as this cat here. And seriously, appointment setting is an worthwhile skill to learn. And because it's a worthwhile skill, it's quite hard. So it takes time and practice. And for the first 2 years of being a coach, booking a call through appointment setting was a struggle. Now, I would send long ass messages inviting people to my webinars, challenges, masterclasses, etc. But I would either get no responses or very little responses, which is always not fun, right? That would lead them to my webpage, where one of the requirements would be to book a call. The thing is, that's not quite sustainable, is it? Because you can't really run challenges, webinars, and all that kind of stuff all the time, right? So I was frustrated. Long messages didn't work, and I was sending at least 100 of those per day, and people weren't so keen on booking a call through a website anyway. So that sustained us for a while, but one sale a month, not the best, right? I mean, we can all agree on that. So something had to change. And in the end, I came to a conclusion that I need to learn how to appointment set because at that time I had no idea what I'm doing. I was literally like that in front of the computer 12 hours a day. Not fun. So easier said than done. But I truly believe in practice over time method. Do something for long enough till you get good at it. I know it's a very new and undiscovered methodology. So what I did is I tried different scripts and frameworks, and over time things started happening. In the beginning, it was very little. Just like there, the red circles are the discovery calls. So as you may see, I was an average of 4 calls per week. That's my poor calendar right here. Then, but as the time passed, I developed my own framework, and our calendars became super busy. Just like here, as you may see. So 16 calls a week on average, right? Basically 4x of what was and what is. Now, and that wasn't it. It kept growing and growing and growing over time to the point where I got too busy with the calls themselves and actually didn't have time for appointment setting anymore, right? So what I want to look at is the time frame. June 2024 and October 2024. Basically, to achieve a 4x from this result to this result, it took me how many months? 5 months. It took me 5 months to get from here to here. And that's the sad thing that it takes time since it's not something that will happen overnight for you or for anyone else because it took me 5 months to get good at it, and I would want to consider myself not the most stupid of all human beings on the planet Earth. The good thing is, though, is that with the framework that I'm about to show you, I then booked my first 3 sales calls for my new business in only 48 hours. So maybe it won't happen as fast for you, but it definitely won't take 5 months as it did for me in the very beginning as I was developing the framework itself. So what's the framework? The framework called is CONVERT. So stands for connect, initiation, the friend request engagement, observe, build rapport by mentioning something about them, narrow down, so to qualify to see if they'd find value in what you offer, verify, ask about their process and what they're currently doing, educate, share your story and sell the solution, request, ask them to book a call and track, ensure they're engaged up to the sales call itself. So this framework is not really about appointment setting alone. It's more about how to find, so how to connect with people and how to make sure they actually show up. So using this particular method, I had an average of 98% show up rate. So I wish the same for you. Number one is connect initiation. DM friend request engagement. For every social media, it's different, but it all starts with a connection of some sort whatsoever. A like, a comment, a follow up, and a message. The opener can be anything. If you're starting out, here's my most favorite opener to connect for a B2B niche, business to business. Like if you're serving coaches and you help them make more money, or you're serving corporation, this is a B2B. It won't necessarily work for corporations though. So be careful with that. And there is a B2C opener, right? So keep in mind that they can be changed according to you, your style, and your communication. So B2B opener would be something along the lines of, hey name, hope you're doing well. Been seeing you a lot on my feed lately. Looks like you're doing some amazing things in their industry. So in weight loss coaching or in mindset shifting or in smoking cessation coaching. How long have you been in the game? So that's a good opener because it shows them that number one, you read them somehow, you found them, you took time to research them. And number two, it shows them that you're not selling straight from the gate. Because as much as we want to be straightforward, we don't want to be too straightforward, if that makes sense, because that way we're targeting very few people who are in the buying mode. So a B2C opener would sound something like, "Hey name, I saw we're both following influencer." I'm not that my memory is not the best when it comes to remembering names of influencers. So put your favorite influencer there. Love what she has to say on the topic of mutual interest. What do you think about it? So for example, "Hey Sarah, I saw we're both following." I'm gonna use one of the old ones, Dr. Mandy Peltz, a menopausal coach. Love what she has to say on the topic of menopause. What do you think about it? Right, so that way I do see I'm targeting consumers as a business, and I'm targeting women in menopause specifically. Now the second step after they respond is to observe. And by the way, keep in mind that after you send this message, a good rule of thumb is to send 2 to 3 follow-ups if they saw the message, right? So if you open up your Instagram, X, Facebook, whatever social media you're using, and you see that they saw the message but they did not respond, send a follow-up. A follow-up can be anything, just bumping this up for you, or hey name, am I catching you at a bad time? Something like that. Really easy, but 2 to 3. The second step is to observe, so to build rapport by mentioning something about them. Once they respond to your initial message, it's time to build rapport. And please don't get too deep into that. You can mention something about their profile, bio, profile picture, problem, etc. That's usually more than enough. Don't go into a 20, 30-minute discussion about their cats or dogs or family or whatever. They don't want that. You don't want that either. So, number one, B2B would be something like, been enjoying coaching women in menopause so far? Or what's the journey been like for you in coaching industry? Or your post about the importance of healthy food during menopause really stood out. What inspired that direction? So I'm targeting coaches that are in menopausal niche at this point. B2C would be something like, what got you into fitness, for example, in the first place? So you see that they have a photo from the gym on their profile, and you ask that, so what got you into fitness in the first place? Or I saw your post about gaining weight. How has that been going for you? Or have you found anything that's actually worked for you so far in losing weight? So it really is. So this question is more so direct. So if you found that you have a very good report from the very beginning, after the first 2 to 3 messages, you can ask it directly. I would stick with the first two above. If you're a B2C niche or B2B, you can use any of those. Now, then we want to go into narrow down. So to qualify, to see if they'd find value in what you offer, right? That's the part when you discover whether the past 2 steps were for nothing. Qualify them for having the problem and wanting to solve it. That's super important. You don't want to find out that they don't have the problem or they don't want to solve it on the call. Believe me, that's no bueno. So B2B would be something like, just curious, how are you currently getting leads into your offer or getting clients for your offer, right? That is a 2 step question. So if we first ask this and then we ask this. So we send out the first one, then we send out the second one. Are you using outreach content or more like ads, referrals, or mostly doing, for example, outreach? Yeah, like disqualifying method, like cold outreach. So we want to fill those placeholders, make sure that they're specific for you. And basically what they're talking about is the problems you're solving. So for example, I'll give you my new business as an example, is AI agency helping high ticket coaches get more qualified calls through AI appointment setters. So if they're using stuff like cold outreach, they're just not my client. Therefore, if they say that they're using cold outreach, I'm not going to continue the discussion. I'm going to disqualify them. On the other hand, if they're using ads or content and dealing with heavy inbound lead flow, I can ask them something like, okay, what is the next step after that? How are you converting leads after they clicked on your ad? So now they're qualified. That's what we're talking about. If they're losing weight, for example, mind if I ask, what's the main thing you're trying to change right now in weight loss? right? Or have you tried working with keto diets before, or mostly been figuring it out solo? Or if I wave the magic wand and fixed one thing right now, what would that be? Our main goal here is to understand what is their path and what is the problem. So once we realize that they do have a problem or they're following some sort of path, we're going into verifying. So asking about what is the path precisely and what they're currently doing. So here the main objective is to find out what they're doing wrong. Ultimately, whatever they're doing, as long as it's not your method, they're doing it wrong. So that's what we want to discover. Got it. Thanks for sharing. And once someone shows interest, what's your current process to get them as a client? Are you using appointment setters or something like real appointment setters or VSLs? Ever tried using AI appointment setters to improve conversions or automate that part? So this is really for a B2B niche and I'm applying it to me and kind of my business, but it really can be anything, right? Because there's always a couple of steps in the process itself. B2C would be something along the lines of got it. So right now, are you following any kind of routine or process for losing weight? What's been the biggest challenge sticking with that? Would you say it's more about the mindset, consistency, support, knowledge piece? So this is a two-step questions. Both of them, you first ask this, then you ask that after they respond to this, because you can still disqualify them at this point in the process. The last part is educate. The last part before the most important one, which is educate. Share your story and sell the solution. Now that you know what they're doing and how they're feeling, what we want is to share our story and sell the solution to their problem. And here's what how we do that. Now, I do want to make a very important statement here. Most people still think about sales as you need to ask a ton of questions. That's not the reality anymore. When there was a study made by sales organizations where they asked consumers what they enjoyed the most about dealing with sales rep, and the biggest by percentage answer was I like when I'm getting insights on what I'm currently doing. That's why educating them, so sharing your story and what you did, giving them an insight on what can be done differently is so powerful because they're looking for a new insight. They're looking to understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. So we can invite them to get them to invite us to sell them, a bit of a calambur. So B2B, totally hear you. I've actually had a very similar journey myself. Would it be cool if I shared a bit about what's been working for me lately? That's a very simple invitation to share your story. B2C would be something along the lines of totally relate, went through something super similar myself, want to share what helped me, and now my clients finally get over that hump. So something like that, really. And you want to personalize it for your offer and niche, and with the frameworks that I shared here, you can pretty much do that with no problems at all. So building out your educational story, because this is an art form of some sort, but once it's written out, given that you're working with one niche and one avatar, it's the most powerful thing in appointment setting toolkit that you have. So it usually starts with something like when I first started gaining weight, I went through the same thing they're going through. I went through the same amount of frustration because I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Ideally speaking, they already shared something like that with you. Then you send that message, you send them one by one. I struggled for a couple of years because I've tried keto and cardio, but over time I realized it's not working the way I want to and makes me feel more tired than ever, even though I'm losing weight. Felt like I was banging a wall each and every day, blah, 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 share some of the frustration. I then finally found a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious way to overcome the weight gain that they're dealing with. In other words, I finally found a 3-step method to eating whatever I want and exercising however I want without gaining any weight and losing 2-3 pounds a week. So this is the magic name of your method. And if you don't have one, I would really think about something like that. Because mine, for example, is lead nurture from B2Y with AI. Right? It sounds fun. It's rhyming. That's why I like it. And it doesn't have this, it's not too specific. Right? So B2Y means that A is ads and Z is usually sales. I'm not doing either of those for my clients. What I do is completely nurture from B2Y. So from the moment they click on that to the moment they jump on the sales call. And we want to name it somehow because that way we can describe it in a short sentence and people like it and all that kind of good stuff. So then I got to the results they're looking for. So for example, I then got to losing 5 pounds in 5 days and it feels amazing now that I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, Sarah, I actually think I can share with you the whole thing in greater detail. That way you can grab the strategies that help me and implement them yourself. I just think it's better than chatting here, haha. Only if you want, of course, That's a question. So this is how we build an educational story. As you may see, we personalized a lot of the parts to match their situation. Because if you can show them that you dealt with the exact same problem and you felt the exact same way, and you got to the exact goal they have in the time frame that they're hoping for, they will want to learn more about it. There is no doubt about that. Track, ensure they've engaged up to the sales call. After they said yes to that, you send them your calendar link. And what it basically means is that you want to follow up with your leads daily, by daily, before the day of the call to keep them reminded of the mere fact that you exist. You can find all the follow up scripts in the same link in the description. So here, B2B niche is track, ensure they follow up once that they booked, right? And then 2, 3 days before the call, 1 day before the call, and day of the call. Those are the things that are must. Follow them if you want to. So, here are a couple of things to keep in mind as you go about it, obviously. Number one, money is in the follow ups. So, follow up with your leads at least 4 times before letting them go. Yes, daily. Follow up with them, follow up with your people. The faster you get to lead, the more likely it is to convert. There was a study that showed 391% in increased conversion simply from getting back to leads in the first 60 seconds of them opting in, responding to your message, etc., or a follow up. I once booked 3 calls in like 10 minutes while I was having my break on the balcony because I had notifications open up on my phone. And the moment somebody sent a message, I got back to them immediately. It wasn't really a break because I was stressed out because there were so many messages getting back to me, but because I sacrificed my break and instead started responding to people straight away. I booked 3 calls in 10 minutes. And that's more than possible. I've seen it multiple times. Speed to lead is a must. And number three, in this case, appointment setting is sales at smaller scale. You got less possible outcomes and therefore it can easily be scripted. Don't be aggressive, but don't be too soft either. You gotta show them that they have the problem and you got the solution. Even though you're reaching out to them, you're attracting them to yourself anyway through reach outs. So don't be pushover, but don't be too aggressive. Be harsh. Last but not least, it takes time. So don't worry if you can't set your first appointment in 24 hours. Practice, practice, practice. I got a link to an AI prompt that can help you practice appointment setting, and it's right here in the same script down below. Prompt to practice appointment setting with AI. Just don't forget to fill in the brackets, except the first one, which is this one. Everything else, fill in yourself and then press enter and practice appointment setting using this framework. In the very end, that's what I did when I wanted to get better. So, good day, my good friends. It was a pleasure, pure pleasure, to share this with you. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. I hope it was insightful. I'm going to see you soon. And appointment set. Make a ton of money.